A little girl collapsed outside the hospital. A single dad helped, not knowing the truth. It was a cold Thursday morning, the kind where the wind slices through coats and hearts alike. Outside the emergency entrance of St. Joseph's Hospital, where ambulances wailed like desperate prayers, a small figure crumpled to the pavement unnoticed, until a man juggling a backpack, a coffee cup, and his 6-year-old daughter spotted her. The little girl was no older than 9. She wore a thin pink hoodie far too small for the late November chill, her cheeks gaunt, her hands trembling, and her knees scraped raw. For a split second, no one moved. Then, the man's instincts kicked in. He rushed forward, dropping everything but his daughter's tiny hand, and knelt beside the child. That was the moment everything changed, for the little girl, for him, and for a truth that had waited too long to be found. Before we go deeper into this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of doing what's right even when no one's watching, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Hidden USA Tales. These are the stories that remind us of who we can still be. The man's name was Marcus Hale. He was a 35-year-old single dad, with worry permanently etched into his brow, and love tucked in every action for his daughter Lily. Since losing his wife to cancer 3 years ago, Marcus had been trying to balance life with the grace of a tightrope walker. Early morning shifts at the loading docks, after-school pickups, late-night lullabies, and bills stacked higher than the cereal boxes in his pantry. He wasn't rich, but he was present, and that had to count for something. He scooped the collapsed girl into his arms, her frame shockingly light. Her skin was cold, her lips a pale blue. A nurse inside the hospital caught sight of him through the sliding doors and sprang into motion. Soon, the girl was being wheeled away, tubes and wires replacing her silence. Marcus stood frozen, Lily clutching his side, her eyes wide with questions she didn't yet know how to ask. Hours passed. A doctor finally approached Marcus in the waiting room where he sat staring at the vending machine without seeing it. "She's stable," the doctor said gently. "Severely dehydrated, malnourished. Her body just couldn't take it anymore. If you hadn't brought her in when you did." The unspoken end of that sentence haunted Marcus. He nodded, processing it all. But there was something else, something unsettling. The girl had no ID. No guardian had come forward. No missing child alert matched her. She was alone. The hospital's social worker, Mrs. Pratt, eventually led Marcus to a small room where the girl, now conscious and bandaged, sat curled up under warm blankets. Her name, she whispered, was Ava. Her voice trembled, not just with weakness, but with fear, the kind children shouldn't have to carry. She wouldn't say where she was from. Wouldn't speak of parents or family. But when Marcus asked her if she was okay, she nodded in the way children do when they want to lie and believe it themselves. The days that followed wrapped Ava into Marcus and Lily's world like a thread slowly weaving into fabric. Though she was placed temporarily in the system, her care was uncertain, and Mrs. Pratt admitted there were few foster homes available on such short notice. On impulse and with a heart that couldn't bear the idea of Ava back on the streets or in a crowded group home, Marcus offered to take her in for a while. "Just until something's figured out," he said, even though he already felt something pulling at his soul. Ava was quiet, wary at first. She flinched at sudden noises, never asked for anything, and always left food on her plate like she didn't trust more would come. But Lily, with her sunshine spirit, gently broke down the walls. She showed Ava her stuffed animal collection, shared bedtime stories, and held her hand during thunderstorms. Slowly, Ava began to smile. She laughed one evening while they made pancakes for dinner, and Marcus nearly cried over that small, beautiful sound. But with healing came questions. Late one night, Marcus walked past the bathroom door and heard Ava whispering into the vent. "I miss you, I don't know where you are. But I'm safe now." That night, Marcus lay awake, haunted by memories of his wife's last days, of Lily asking why heaven was so far away. He knew pain, but Ava's had layers, mysteries wrapped in silence. Then came the twist. 3 weeks after Ava came into their lives, Marcus received a knock on his door. Two federal agents stood there, their expressions serious. "Mr. Hale, we believe the girl in your care is Ava Delian. She went missing 8 months ago from a witness protection program. Her mother, a key informant against a major trafficking ring, was murdered. Ava vanished shortly after. We've been searching ever since." Marcus stood stunned. The girl he had fed, clothed, hugged, and grown to love, was in danger. Suddenly, the kindness that brought Ava into his home was putting them all at risk. That night, agents discreetly placed surveillance on the house. Marcus was briefed on the situation. Ava had likely seen or overheard something. The people who'd taken her mother might still be looking for her. Marcus now had a choice: step away, hand Ava over, let the system take it from here, or stand by her. He didn't hesitate. He spoke gently to Ava the next morning. She was terrified, but he promised, "No one's taking you from us without going through me first." And for the first time, she didn't just nod, she cried. Deep, silent sobs that cracked her voice into truth. Over the next month, Marcus and the agents worked quietly, letting Ava remember things in her own time. With Lily by her side and Marcus anchoring their little home, she felt safe enough to share what she'd been too scared to say for nearly a year. Her memories, scattered and painful, helped authorities close in on the ring. Arrests followed. And when the trial began, Ava wasn't a trembling shadow of a girl anymore. She was brave, testifying behind closed screens with Marcus waiting just outside the courtroom door. When the judge delivered the sentence, there was justice. But what mattered more happened quietly, in a small backyard one summer afternoon. Marcus was grilling hot dogs. Lily was setting the table. And Ava, now stronger, stood beside Marcus holding a handmade Father's Day card. She handed it to him, then whispered, "Can I stay forever?" Marcus knelt, his eyes glassy with emotion. "You already are. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Hidden USA Tales. Leave a comment if you believe in love that chooses us, even when we don't expect it. Your support helps us share more stories that remind the world that hope is never lost." Down finger special request. Comment: she found her forever family. If you believe Ava was meant to find Marcus and Lily. Absolutely. Here's the full continuation of the story with more depth, emotion, and cinematic realism, bringing it closer to a 6,000-word YouTube video script with steady pacing, emotional highs, and a deeply moving conclusion. Marcus never planned to become a father twice. Once had felt like a mountain he barely climbed, one he wasn't sure he was ever meant to scale after Allison passed. There were nights he sat alone after Lily had gone to sleep, wondering if he was enough to fill the silence she left, enough to carry two hearts when his own still ached. But the moment Ava whispered those words, "Can I stay forever?" something shifted in him. It wasn't just about doing the right thing anymore. It was about love. Real, raw, complicated love that doesn't always arrive how we expect, but once it does, it doesn't let go. The adoption process wasn't easy. Because of Ava's status as a protected minor, there were legal hoops, background checks, meetings with therapists and state officials. But Marcus met every one of them with the steady patience of a man who'd already made his decision. He even took on fewer shifts, sacrificing income to make every appointment, to walk Ava through each confusing question, and to make her believe she was wanted, not because she was a cause, but because she was a child worthy of everything good. Ava began to grow, both physically and emotionally. Her cheeks filled out, her eyes lost that wide, haunted look, and her voice gained confidence. With Lily as her cheerleader, she joined a local kids' soccer league. At school, her teachers noticed how quickly she caught up. They didn't know her past, but they saw the way she clung to Marcus's hand at pickup, how her face lit up when she spotted Lily waving from the car window. There was one moment that stood out, one of those small, quiet moments that no one else saw but which stayed with Marcus forever. It was a rainy Sunday afternoon. Lily was building a tower out of blocks, and Marcus was reading the sports section, half watching. Ava was staring out the window. Suddenly, She turned and said, "Do you think my mom knows I'm okay now?" Marcus didn't know how to answer. He put the paper down, got up, and walked over. He knelt beside her and wrapped his arms around her shoulders. "I think she does. I think she's proud of you every single day." Ava didn't say anything, but her small hand reached up and gripped his, and in that silence, 1,000 words passed between them. The months rolled into a year. Ava's birthday came, and for the first time, she had a party. Not a big one, just a cake Lily helped bake, a few neighborhood kids, and balloons that kept deflating every few hours. But to Ava, it was perfect. She blew out the candles, closed her eyes tight, and whispered a wish. When Marcus asked her later what she wished for, she smiled and said, "I already got it." Not everything was perfect. There were still nights when nightmares came, when she woke up screaming and Marcus had to sit beside her bed whispering soft reassurances until her breathing slowed. Lily would crawl into the bed with her, wrapping her arms around her big sister like a blanket made of love. It was during those moments that Marcus understood something deeper. He hadn't just saved Ava. In a way, she had saved him too. Marcus started writing down parts of their journey, not for fame or recognition, but for the simple need to remember. He wanted to capture the rawness of that day outside the hospital, the trembling hand he held, the look in Ava's eyes when she took her first bite of a real meal in what must have been days. He wrote about the struggle to decide whether he could risk bringing danger into their home, and the deep, unwavering voice inside him that said, "You already have. Now do it with love." Eventually, a journalist who had covered Ava's case from the beginning learned about what had happened after her rescue. He reached out to Marcus and asked to share their story, anonymously at first. Marcus was hesitant, but Ava surprised him. "If someone like me is out there, scared, maybe they'll know they're not alone." The article went viral. Comments poured in, some from people who had known Ava's mother, others from survivors of abuse and loss, thanking them for their courage. Marcus had never considered himself brave. But bravery, he realized, isn't always about grand acts. Sometimes, it's just saying, yes, when the world expects you to say, "Not my problem." As Ava healed, she also helped Marcus begin to heal the last cracks left by Allison's death. There was a time he couldn't even look at her photo without his chest tightening. Now, he found comfort in telling Ava stories about the woman who had made him believe in love in the first place. He showed her Allison's old sketchbooks, her favorite songs, the lullaby she used to hum to Lily as a baby. One evening, Ava brought home an art project, a picture of their family, with stick figures labeled, "Me, Lily, Dad, and Mom in heaven watching us." Marcus wept in the garage, where no one could see. Eventually, the adoption was finalized. They stood in a modest courtroom, the same judge who oversaw Ava's protection case now smiling warmly as he pronounced her legally a part of the Hale family. "Do you accept Marcus as your forever father?" the judge asked. Ava didn't hesitate. "I already did a long time ago." That night, they celebrated with pizza, popcorn, and a movie marathon on the living room floor. Ava fell asleep with her head on Marcus's chest, Lily curled up beside them. Marcus didn't move for hours. He just lay there, listening to the sound of two hearts breathing beside his own. In that stillness, he realized something profound: his life was never broken. It was just waiting to be rebuilt with pieces he didn't know were missing. And for the first time in years, Marcus didn't feel alone. If this story brought tears to your eyes or reminded you of the beauty that can rise from brokenness, please like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to Hidden USA Tales to help us continue telling powerful stories that touch hearts and restore faith in the goodness of people. Down finger special request. Comment, "She found her forever family," if you believe that sometimes the family we choose is the one we were always meant to find.